It's Wednesday, December 11, 2024. This is CVM News at noon. I'm Ramon Gordon. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he feels targeted amid ongoing Integrity Commission investigations. It's Wednesday, December 11, 2024. This is CVM News at noon. I'm Ramon. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he feels targeted amid ongoing Integrity Commission investigations into building permits linked to a company in a recent report. Holness, who denies any direct ties to the company or property in question, says the timing, just days before his Supreme Court case against the IC concludes, raises concerns. He calls the report a transparent attempt to damage his reputation, but insists it won't deter him from serving Jamaica. Meanwhile, the government has reiterated its full confidence in the Prime Minister's leadership, despite recent revelations from the Integrity Commission. At a press briefing on Wednesday, Information Minister Dana Morris-Dixon expressed unwavering support for the Prime Minister.
These things that we've seen where we are lauded around the world for, especially in terms of our economy, that was all done under the leadership of the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness.
The Finance Ministry is denying claims of missing funds at various ministries, but admits to delays in submitting appropriations accounts. A review by the Jamaica Accountability Meter portal JAMP has labeled the situation an accountability crisis, highlighting the Education, Health and Labour ministries as primary offenders.
I want to repeat that. It is not that the money is missing. It is that reports due to the Auditor General have not been submitted by several ministries. Appropriations accounts are annual reports that are to be submitted to the Auditor General to allow the Auditor General to do an audit. Appropriations accounts reflect the ministry's expenditure in a financial year compared against the amounts approved by Parliament for the respective ministries. I believe it will help Jamaicans to understand the process of how money gets spent in government, because there are many safeguards along the way in the spending of taxpayers' money.
Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley is calling for stronger Caribbean unity to unlock the region's renewable energy potential. That, as she describes it, as the most important aspect of economic development yet to be addressed by CARICOM.
I believe that the region can no longer pursue this independently, country by country, looking and hoping to capture the attention of a small company here, or a small thing there, or a small thing there. But that there is power in having the audit done, which I've asked the International Financial Corporation to undertake for us, as to what is truly the renewable energy potential of the Caribbean community.
Mottley spoke Tuesday at a lecture honoring the 100th birthday of Jamaica's fourth Prime Minister Michael Manley. She called for a unified regional energy agreement to combine resources and strengthen global networking, or negotiating rather, power. We'll have more details at 7. Meanwhile, a week after the launch of JUTC of 2 JUTC routes in St. Thomas, Transport Minister Daryl Vaz toured the parish to assess the impact.
I can say that the report that I have for the first week of operations, 5 days to be exact, is that there was over 5,000 persons that used the JUTC buses, which is remarkable. The one to Yalas was almost 3,000, and the one to Morant Bay was almost a little over 2,000. So, and that's just a start. People are still getting their smart cards to be able to get benefit from the reduced rates, and there is a keen interest in the routes. So this is just another expansion of the routes. I think some test runs were done to Mapen and Williamsfield this week. So we'll hear more about those in the coming days. But this is a commitment to keep up with the infrastructure that the government is putting in to make sure that there's proper transportation and reliable and safe transportation.
An Ananda alert is active for 14-year-old Nathaniel Dennis from Linstead, St. Catherine. He was last seen on December 5 wearing a red t-shirt and blue jean shorts. Dennis is brown-skinned, slim, and 5'8". Over in Montego Bay, 38-year-old Sir Lancelot Cleghorn of Portobello Heights was last seen on December 6 at a clinic wearing a yellow shirt, brown jeans, and brown shoes. Back in Kingston, 73-year-old Alfonso Dixon, who has dementia, disappeared the same day in Barbican wearing a black shirt and red and black shirt. Anyone with information should contact the police immediately. Now, residents of Woodsville in eastern Hanover are again urging political representatives to repair their main bridge, which collapsed nearly 2 years ago. They say repeated promises have gone unfulfilled, leaving them dependent on a makeshift wooden bridge.
When the rain start and it comes down, it will tear the whole line. This is the longest river in Jamaica. So anytime you hear the rain start, and start by Hanover, you go and down everything and drop it. So people go and get punished, so we need it to fix.
The Education Ministry is commending educators and caregivers for their dedication to students from challenging backgrounds. During a tour of Hopewell High School, the Education Minister praised the nation's teachers, calling them a blessing to the system. Courtney Lewis has the details.
The Minister of Education says the ministry has committed to supporting schools in handling students' disciplinary issues. She lauds teachers during a visit to the Hopewell High School for their role in helping students recognize potential outside of academics through vocational programs.
So they're working really hard with them to unleash that. But are there disciplinary issues? Of course, there are. And many of them are coming from homes where they're not necessarily having the family support, or communities where they don't have the support. And so our school has to become more than that.
The minister's visit came after reports of bullying, for which Senator Dixon says there is no tolerance. But she pauses to celebrate the progress the school has made, zeroing in on the latest facilities.
There are ramps all around the school. There are wheelchair students who are here, and the school is equipped to assist them. And of course, they got some assistance from the Judicial Foundation to do that. So this is a very inclusive school in that respect. I saw a new automotive building being built, and that's from Hanover Charities. They are supporting the school in building a new entire automotive section. So there's a lot of good things happening in the school.
Both school admin and the minister agree the disciplinary and social concerns are not unique situations, but the school is facing the challenges head-on to ensure matriculation.
Hopewell High School has been putting programs in place to help kids, to add value to children's lives.
We have students who are special needs students, so to speak. And so we have rooms that are earmarked for just special needs students, as it relates to interactive whiteboards, laptops for each student, a carpet, reading area, and as Mrs. Porter Brown said, we want to add value to their lives. So
she commends educators for what she describes as going beyond the call of duty.
Social work in the school, that's what they're doing. They're diagnosing the children. They're having to put intensive work in the students. They're having to work with the parents in terms of teaching them proper parenting. They're having to work with the police. Some important things happening, and some really wonderful teachers that are going out of their way to support our children, and Jamaica really should applaud all those efforts.
Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
A Supreme Court ruling has allowed Prime Minister Andrew Holness to proceed with a judicial review of the Integrity Commission's special report on his statutory declarations. However, comments from the attorneys on both sides reveal contrasting interpretations of the decision. Here's more in this report. The Supreme Court has ruled that Prime Minister Andrew Holness can proceed with a judicial review of the Integrity Commission's special report on his statutory declarations. Both sides, however, are interpreting the ruling differently. Attorney representing the IC, Kevin Powell, says the Commission remains hopeful, despite the Prime Minister being allowed to proceed with a court challenge.
Well, we're certainly confident in resisting the claim when we see it. As I said, at this stage, it's a preliminary hurdle that they've crossed. The Prime Minister and his companies now need to formulate an actual claim. And at that point in time, we'll then be able to see how best able to resist it.
The review seeks to address claims tied to an Integrity Commission report that flagged the Prime Minister's statutory declarations as uncertified. Holness's legal team argued for exoneration, claiming the Integrity Commission mishandled the declarations. However, the judge denied a bid to fully clear the Prime Minister of wrongdoing.
The judge, correctly in our view, found that such an order could not be or is not permissible. It would effectively be usurping the statutory functions of the Director of Investigation and the Commission.
The statement of the Director of Information and Complaints that he examined the 2022 and 2023 statutory declarations only came when they filed their affidavit in response to the claim. So I think their affidavit would have come about October, and it was only in that affidavit that it indicated that there was the examination. So at the time the claim was filed, there was no indication to us that it was done. And so having included such a relief in the application, it was not unreasonable, neither was it unfounded.
Despite differing perspectives, both sides agree on one thing: the substantive judicial review hearing in January will be pivotal.
And his companies now need to formulate an actual claim. And at that point in time, we'll then be able to see how best able to resist it.
I mean, we are hopeful that we will be successful at the actual judicial review hearing. We will just put up the best case that we intend to put up on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Ramon Gordon for CVM News. And with that, we take a quick break. More when we return.
Christmas from Edgecombe Paints, changing lives 1 gallon at a time.
Get tiles and get creative with your floors, walls, and all the spaces in between. Our knowledgeable sales consultants are happy to help create your beautiful finish with the latest designs in first quality porcelain, wood look, vinyl, mosaics, natural stones, and countertops. At Creative, you will get every tile you need for your residential or commercial projects. Creative Building Finishes, your one-stop shop for everything tiles. Visit our showroom at 5 Red Hills Road or call 876-929-5553. Get tiles, get creative.
Our days get a little complex sometimes. Often so many things make sense, yet so many do not. We are being intentional about giving prominence to the big stories in order to clarify and enlighten. Lead Story explains who, what, when, where, why, and how. Lead Story with George Davis, weekdays at 6:30 p.m. on CVM TV.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is facing renewed scrutiny following a new report from the Integrity Commission. The 63-page document accuses a company linked to the Prime Minister, Estate Bridge Holding Limited, of deliberate building breaches tied to a residential development in Beverly Hills, Kingston. To discuss, we're joined by political commentators Professor Carol Archer and Mr. Lloyd B. Smith. Again, welcome to you both.
Thanks for having me.
Mr. Smith, you'll permit me if we start with Professor Archer. Prof, what was your initial reaction to the report and how damning, if at all, are the findings?
Well, I must say, as an urban planner, I was very keen with the statement made by the IC in that they were looking at a particular issue and the matter of the development came to the fore, and they felt it necessary that this was relevant to be considered in terms of an application submit. It is alleged that an application was submitted to the KSAC for a particular development, and there seems to be some question as to what was submitted and what was approved. And we would have been hearing constant concerns by citizens across the length and breadth of Jamaica, but in particular Kingston, as to these types of developments that are taking place. So I was keen in the fact that the joined up approach, so to speak, of government, that here is a breach, let's flag it to see the extent. Now, the fact that we're talking about the Prime Minister, I'm also interested to see how the matter is will be dealt with, because you're talking about one of our primary lawmaker, the head of government, chief legislature, who would have been responsible for approving, so to speak, the land, the zoning, the legislation around land. And he's also important, he's also the minister with responsibility for planning and land use management.
Correct. Mr. Smith, I have to ask you, the Prime Minister denies wrongdoings, yes? And he claims that he's been targeted by the Integrity Commission. To you, Mr. Smith, is there any evidence to support that assertion?
From my standpoint, no. I think the Prime Minister has to realize that in his particular position, it is going to be critical that whatever he does is subject to public scrutiny, especially when it lies within the ambit of transparency and accountability. And so for him to continue to use this, what I call bait, about being targeted, it is perhaps not, to me, the most right thing to do, because in our highly politicized climate, once the Prime Minister says that he's being targeted, then it sends what we call red meat to his supporters in the Jamaica Labour Party, who will then target the Integrity Commission. And we don't want to go down that road, because the Integrity Commission is a creature of Parliament, one of which Mr. Holness himself helped to create. So we have to be very careful as leaders what we say, and in order not to inflame, persons out there who may be on his side and may well think that this is all about character assassination and that there is no substantive evidence to suggest that he ought to be so focused on.
Very well. Professor, the KSAMC is accused of failing to enforce compliance and falsifying reports. What does it say about local government oversight, and how should it be fixed? Because like you said, this is a conversation that has been ongoing. We see buildings going up, persons are complaining, and obvious affront to the permits. So what should we be doing to fix this issue?
Right. I think as it is now, the KSAMC ought to carry out the necessary investigation, get the necessary evidence. And we would have seen there are several examples of the Charlie Mount was one such example where the NEPA had to investigate it, and they made